is our project, which is an Arduino computer mouse. We used 3 Arduinos, 2 push buttons, an LED, 2 joysticks, 2 covers for the push buttons, and 2 rubber squares for this given project. Also, regarding the Arduinos, we used an Arduino Leonardo instead of a normal Arduino for our third Arduino because we wanted to be able to handle the mouse library for our project. So we used 3 Arduinos to connect the 2 buttons needed, and we also used serial communication for the actual buttons needed, along with using a lever for the actual joystick. So our thinking is, for this project idea, that we would be using multiple Arduinos to create a external computer mouse, which you can use, basically for any computer needed. So we thought that instead of a traditional, regular external mouse or one with a scroll ball, we're going to have one controlled by joysticks. So we have one for the x-axis and one for the y-axis, and you can move that in any way you want, and it'll help you move your computer mouse to basically wherever you want on the screen. We thought this would be a great idea because it would allow the user to basically, not have to use their mouse pad or have to use their physical mouse. They could just control the joysticks and the mouse will move. It's also cost efficient because there's some cases where you could have a computer that has a broken mouse pad, or you can have another cheaper external mouse that's not as efficient. So this could be a lot cheaper than any of those things.
So we dealt with a few issues when creating the Arduino Bluetooth mouse. The main issues we dealt with were mainly with the Bluetooth and the button control. We struggled to correctly implement the buttons, and there were problems with the joystick calibration. For example, not every single joystick was calibrated the same way. Each one of them was different when it came not only to the total range of motion, but in how much it moved when the controlling block was also moved. And for example, 1 centimeter on one button in one direction was not necessarily equal to 1 centimeter on a different button. And this caused us to not be able to test accurately all of the buttons together at the same time. And this inability to concurrently use buttons took up valuable time and made the testing process a lot more tedious, as we had to redo tests several different times. As well as calibration issues, we also dealt with problems regarding the dead zone. So the dead zone is just the area that doesn't respond to movements that are made by the user. And the reason that it's made is to help correct minute erroneous inputs that the joystick might receive that are not from the user. So, like most systems, there were dead zones in the joystick range of motion, and it affected how we accessed parts of the screen. And if the dead zones were of significant size, we would have had trouble, as we would have had a smaller range of motion to work with, as well as just having an annoyance of having so much of our range being wasted. Luckily for us, the dead zones weren't that big, and we were able to work around this inconvenience. And we also initially planned to use Bluetooth connectivity for the mouse, and we struggled with the Bluetooth connection, and in the end we ended up just dropping the Bluetooth connection idea of our project, as we just deemed it would be too time consuming and because we wouldn't be able to finish the implementation on time. So instead of using Bluetooth, we switched to serial communication and were thankfully able to get it to work on time.
So here's a quick demo of our Arduino mouse. First and foremost, moving the cursor, you use one joystick to do that. It goes with the X and Y directions, so that way you can move your cursor properly. This movement on the specific joystick is kind of sensitive, which is why it's erratic, but it works nonetheless. For the left click, you use this button to do it. You can click and hold, as well as double click, just like a normal mouse. Pair it with the right click and you have a fully functional basic mouse. You can use right and left click to select some of the options, just like you would on your normal computer. Lastly, we implemented a scroll joystick. This one is super sensitive as well, so scrolling is too fast for a normal web page. However, we have a scrolling example on the world's longest web page. In conclusion, we had a lot of fun making this project and we learned a lot as well. Although we ran into a couple issues, we worked through them. And that's our Arduino mouse.